The Craftworld Eldar have had a tough time going into 9th edition for a number of reasons. They had a tough time playing the primary. Their secondaries have been actually surprisingly difficult to score. And so I was very curious to see how they changed in the January 2021 FAQ and to see if they got a leg up. Let's take a look. So in terms of points, this is great. And actually, I'll go so far as to say that overall, this is a great FAQ for Craftworld
every
Eldar.
single change they made this army better, which it needed.
So happy about this. This is amazing. So points, first and foremost, their troops, their base units were overcosted.
Yes.
I want to talk about, today I want to talk about Dire Avengers and Guardians, both of which dropped 2 points, which is amazing.
Which is a lot. Because it seems like not that much, but you take a lot of these models, right?
Precisely.
You take Guardians in huge blobs. When you're taking Dire Avengers, you're often taking multiple squads of, 5 or more.
Yeah, exactly.
So it can add up to quite a bit in your list.
It really does, especially I'm really loving big units of Guardians, the 20-mans.
Yeah.
And so they're dropping down to 8 points a model. Already there, you're saving 40 points per unit there. The Dire Avengers were just, at 13 points, it was ridiculous for what they do. But 11, absolutely. So this is, it's a great change. Obviously, in the long term, I'd like to see those units just get better.
Yeah.
But for now, as an immediate like patch fix, I think this is a great change.
I agree.
And you can just bring more bodies on objectives. Really excited to see this happening.
Because they double as both OBSEC and respectable shooters.
Exactly.
Right? Now, it does take a lot of them to drop like a tough Space Marine unit.
Right.
But hey, you can afford a lot of them. So
I like it.
Go for it.
I'm rocking it, man.
Yeah.
So that's the points changes. Let's take a look at the other changes in the game. These are things that didn't explicitly change in the Craftworld army, but changed about the game.
They impact them quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So one of the ones I want to talk about is Bring It Down. This is great for the army. Bring It Down previously would give you 2 points or 3 points for a vehicle. We have some amazing small vehicles in the army, like Warwalkers, even Wraith Lords to that extent. A number of small things like this, just running lots of
Eldar use vehicles.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It's kind of crucial for them.
Right.
And before it would be really easy to give up those 15 points.
So easy.
And so much so that, for instance, we love Warwalkers. We actually think they're like good output, good price. But we decided not to take them because they give up Bring It Down so easy.
Exactly.
But now they give up 1 point each.
Yeah.
Even if you have 6 of them, 6 points. Who cares?
Absolutely.
That's fair.
This fixes like the one negative for that unit. It makes them really interesting. And it's a big improvement for even Mech Eldar, which was one of the more successful builds of Eldar currently 9th edition.
Especially now that your wave servers are cheaper.
Yes. So this is awesome. This is a great change. Again, it's only giving 1 and 2 points for pretty much every unit in this army.
That's great.
So really awesome. Another one I want to talk about that's not as impactful, but I think it's important competitively because we were seeing a lot of mixed Eldar lists, Craftworld with kind of firepower and things like Harlequins.
That's true.
And this one is very much affected by things like Why We Stand We Fight.
Yeah.
Previously, Why We Stand We Fight was 5 points for each of your most expensive single models that survive the game. And in these kinds of builds, you would say, okay, I'm going to pick a Farseer, Shadowseer, these support characters, and everything else was pretty low cost as far as individual models, right? And so this was 15 points that they were counting on.
Yeah, it was a common Eldar tactic in some competitive builds.
Exactly. Nowadays, though, it is your most expensive unit, not your most expensive model that score those points. And so this is something that we're seeing across all these factions that had these builds revolving around small support characters that would survive. You just can't do that anymore.
That's right. This secondary just isn't viable in those situations.
Exactly.
Now, if you want to use the secondary, you have to be the kind of army that has units that just won't die. Like you have to be like Deathwing Terminators or something.
I was gonna say.
Those are the only things that can still make use of that.
And again, this is something that's better it's good for the game. It's unfortunate for those builds, but at the end of the day, I think I'd rather that the factions get fixed so we don't have to resort to that kind of army building in the first place.
You know what? One of the things I really love about the change to While We Stand is before you would put it on these characters and they would just stay out of the game.
Yes.
Now you have these cool heroes. They actually get to go and be heroes.
It frees them, really.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I totally agree.
I hate it when you've got like your big chapter master and he's just cowering behind because he's trying to While We Stand. Now he can get out in there and protect the people who are actually trying to stand.
Exactly. Do some stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. So another change that affects the entire game is the changes to first turn, right?
Yeah.
Previously, we'd roll off to see who goes first. The winner of the roll-off, whoever rolls higher, gets to choose who goes first. Not the case anymore.
That's right.
Yeah, so now it's whoever rolls higher has to go first.
Yeah, this gives you a lot less control over what's going to happen. And for many armies, this is a big disadvantage, but not so for Eldar because they're one of the few factions that have the ability to redeploy their units before the game. This means that you could start off in a defensive position. If you win the roll and you end up going first, you can redeploy into a more offensive position. You could obviously do the inverse, but
Sure.
I prefer starting defensive, then going offensive. But nevertheless, I think this is a power that the army has, which is more pronounced now than it used to be. It was always strong.
Yes, absolutely.
But now it's even more pronounced.
Right, exactly. Because before you could you'd have to decide based off of what your opponent is wanting to do.
Yeah.
Now they could get what they want, they could get not what they want, and this is going to let you throttle one way or another, which is a really, really great change for Eldar. This is a strat that's kind of an evergreen strat. It's always good. The ways in which it's good changes.
Yeah.
But this is a great, great change for them.
Agreed.
Another big change is in the last round.
Yeah.
So traditionally, well, in the first 4 turns now, you're scoring your primary at the beginning of the turn. But in the 5th round, if you go second, you score your primary at the end of the turn. Big deal. And one that I think is a net big positive for Eldar.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons. One of the things was Eldar are not terribly, durable. They're not known for that durability. And so in the last turns, you don't always have a lot of assets. You have to be very careful. And so if you were going second, many armies would say, okay, I've got my primary. I can just go all out, abandon the points, just attack and remove the Eldar off the points. They can't do that anymore. They have to guard the points, stay on them. So you're going to have more of your army alive in the last turn. And I mean, there's not many armies that are faster and more flexible in their movement than Eldar, right?
Agreed. Yeah, that's the thing. That speed becomes really crucial here. Even if there's an objective way at the back, you could just have, like a Farseer on bike double move and grab it or something, right? And this is an enormous move. It's the entire board, you know? So the speed of the army is what allows them to take advantage of this. And speed even with OBSEC units, right? And so I think that's really crucial.
Really big deal. So this is another exciting way that we've been talking about. When is the book going to come out? What are the changes going to be? How can Eldar play more Eldar-like? Well, honestly, a couple of these,
helps.
It brings it back. It's that old idea. And it's kind of like in 7th edition or even 8th edition where you could just pop onto a point, do a thing, and then leave.
Yeah.
It brings a little bit of that back for Eldar players. So really excited about that.
Well, they actually changed another thing in the base game. Speaking of Eldar being Eldar, they changed the way that you move out of sequence.
That's right, yeah.
Right? And so Eldar have so many moves out of sequence, right? They have Fire and Fade is a great example, but they also have the ability to move again in the Psychic phase. Yeah. And they said that this has to be just a normal move, no advance. This actually does impact the way that you play as Eldar. On the one hand, you can't advance with your bikes and then still charge.
Sure.
Typically, you have enough moves, so it's not the end of the world.
It's all good.
But it also means that you could get back into transports.
Big deal.
So Fire and Fading into a transport, that's a very strong ability. In fact, it was so strong, they facked it out of 8th edition.
Yeah, that's what was surprising about this.
It used to be in 8th edition, and then they were like, that's not good. And they facked it out, but now they're like, you know what sounds good? Fire and Fading back into transports. So we're going to have to see how that one goes because, imagine you've got a Wave Serpent, now cheaper, flies up, dumps out some shooting units, like whatever, some Dark Reapers used to be the answer.
Sure.
And then they shoot and then get back into the Wave Serpent.
Yeah.
Or like, for the first time, your Fire Dragons can survive.
Right.
This is the only way that they can survive, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So this is a really cool tactic. They explicitly made it legal, so go enjoy it while you can. This has been factored in the past. I wouldn't put it past them to change it again.
Sure.
But it's probably going to be quite a ways until they change it again.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this change.
Right?
I think it's great.
That's crazy.
It's really, really cool. And the advance in charge, like, it only really affects, like, Samhan.
That's right.
That's about it, right? So, unlike Harlequins, that this hurts, this is great for Craftworld Eldar.
Yeah.
So, very, very exciting stuff. The last change we want to talk about is ABHOR the Witch.
That's right.
ABHOR the Witch. This is the secondary that gives your opponents points for killing Psykers if they have none.
Yeah.
Previously, this one, it wasn't devastating for Craftworld Eldar, but it was scary.
It wasn't good.
Because traditionally, I do this. I'll take a Farseer, and I'll take 2 Warlocks.
That's right.
2 Warlocks that are very likely to perils and kill
they kill themselves, kill each other.
Yeah, exactly. Especially for me, right? And so you have 3 Psykers, which previously would give 5 points each for being psychic characters.
That was a full 15 points just for killing those. Now,
so
sure, they were staying back and staying safe, but it's worth noting that they're super fragile.
Very fragile.
And their spells aren't that long range.
No.
So an opponent could get into them and take them out. And if it was worth 15 points, they could do it by the end of the game.
Absolutely, and it's worth like throwing stuff away, just diving in there to get all that honeypot of points,
Yeah.
right? Especially because they're also often hanging out together.
Yes, they're in one group, and they're so fragile that like, oh, my Salt Intercessors touch them. Okay, all 3 of them are dead.
I'll just pick them up. Yeah.
Right, and the thing is, you wanted them dead anyways because their abilities were so strong. So that was a little too punishing, right? Giving away those 15 points, it's too much. Now it's down to just 3. And you're really going to only have 3 psychers. So now this is not a threat against you anymore.
It is a big deal. It pretty much takes that in secondary entirely off the plate, unless your opponent doesn't have any better options. In which case, great, go for it. You know, that's awesome. So great change for us because we do have some psychic powers. So yeah,
I'm into it.
That is all the changes for Craftworld Eldar from the January 2021 FAQ. We wanted to give a snapshot and kind of help you guys process all of this massive information. We really like pretty much everything in this FAQ.
Good. Yeah, and made the faction better. Maybe didn't make them all the way top tier, but it's a lot more fun to play them.
We're going in the right direction. People will have more fun. So let us know in the comments below what you guys thought. What are you excited about changing? Are you going to be changing your builds? I imagine.
Will you have fire dragons?
Yeah, how many fire dragons will you have is the real question. So yeah, let us know. We're going to be playing these Craftworld very soon on the channel with the new rules, trying out new stratagems. So we'll see you guys very soon on the tabletop.